has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bad seed, a broken eat a bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake-it-up, shadooby, along with the tater and tutty and golf guru himself, the sheet of integrity holder. All rights are his. It's Carver High, ladies. Fresh off of a Thanksgiving holiday, and he's gigging with your boy Mafia and Luke, I am your father. The rundown, look at this. Demario Davis of the Saints going to check in with us, saving lives, getting people a better education. It's all coming together for Demario Davis. This guy's got 6 kids. Carver High, you thought you had problems. Jerry Palm in the second hour from CBS Sports. He has it all. College football, college rack, and a nice Purdue 66 ass thumping by the Hoosiers. Of course, Jerry went to Purdue. Fail. In the final hour, a double shot from Morency in Vancouver, Carver High. I got to tell you, today I said to someone, all that matters now are the Bills and Steelers in the AFC. That's it. They're the 2 best teams. It's over. The Ravens suck. I'm telling you, they beat them. So did the Eagles. Anyone good beats the Ravens. They only beat bad teams.
And we're going to leave are we leaving the Chiefs out, or are we just hoping that that one of us
I don't like
them?
talking
get the
about
Chiefs
them.
in.
Don't start with them already. It's December 2nd. I don't want to have another one of their cheap 2-point wins, all their one-score wins. They're going down at the hands of the Bills and Steelers. It's not happening this year.
How they slithered away again on Friday, that game against the Raiders? I mean, just slithered away. Hit the Raiders with the points. Yes, we have a lot to cover today. Of course, it's been a long weekend for us. I haven't seen you in a while. And, man, Cignetti, geez. He talk about sweep the leg, no mercy. Cignetti on Saturday night against Purdue. He left it all out there. He just kept scoring and scoring.
What did they say, Mike? They said that they had to have, after losing to Ohio State big, they had to have a convincing win. Otherwise, they weren't going to make the playoff. When you win 66-0, that's ice. Done deal.
Got the poor kid at Purdue fired too, Ryan Walters. They sent him packing out the door after he lost 66-0 to Indiana. So,
I mean, honestly, he had a nightmare season. What were they, 1-11?
Yeah, not a good year. So 2 years and out for Ryan there in West Lafayette. Steelers and the Bills do win, and you weren't here last week, so I wasn't sure your thoughts. When you left after they lost the Brown game that Thursday night, you said, they'll lose to the Bengals, too. They're going on the road again. 2 division games on the road. Well, they were dogs yesterday in Cincinnati against the Bengals. But I think one thing people stopped factoring in is that the Cincinnati defense, Scotty, is pathetic. And Russell Wilson had his way with them yesterday. And the Steelers, they beat the Bengals' ass. That score, actually, it should not have even been that close. The Steelers beat the Bengals' ass.
Yeah, it wasn't close. Don't be fooled by the score. And I was worried about Joey Silk and Chase and T. Higgins and nothing else on that team. I was worried about those 3 because you know he can do damage. Look at how many games they've lost where they scored 30-plus points. They can score with anyone. They can get into these wild games. But you're right, no defense. I mean, the Steelers haven't had a game like that since – I think the 70s. I mean, 500-plus yards of offense. He had 414 throwing, 3 tutties. They just, they were down 21-14. Then they took the lead 24-21. They never looked back. They just kept stomping them and burying them. I thought the defense was spectacular, particularly Hayward. I thought he was stuffing the run. He was all over the pocket. He was a menace. I thought the kid Wilson played his ass off with the scoop and score. Their defense is real tough. Their pass rush is sick. He threw to 10 different people. 10 different people touched the football. Yeah. My God. I mean, they're spreading it around like, butter on bread. I mean, I think they look fantastic. You can say whatever you want about them. All I know is they're 9-3, and the Ravens are, a game and a half back now. I don't understand that either. So they lose. Why is it a game and a half? I thought it was 2.
They're 2 games back in the loss column, which is what matters. The Steelers have 3 losses. The Ravens have 5. The Ravens are one of the final teams to have their bye this week. So there is no Raven game this week. They are off, which means when the Steelers win and return the favor to the Browns this coming Sunday and get to 10-3, they'll be a full 2 games up, but really 2.5 because they've already beaten the Ravens. So that's where that factors in, that head-to-head that they have over them. And with 4 games to go, I hope you know what you're doing with your playoff tickets, at least for one game over at the place the Steelers play, because they're going to have a home game probably that first weekend, if not the second.
Yeah, so I thought that going to the jungle would be a problem for certain. After they lost to the Browns, I could see them losing. So what I've done is I'm going to see them play the Bengals and Silk on January 5th. That's the last home game. So my son and I are flying in there to see that one before the playoffs. It's going to be cold, freezing, Jan 5 probably, miserable weather. I don't care. This team's pretty exciting. Look, you can talk about your Bills too, because they look phenomenal. I think they're better than the Steelers by, a couple of licks. I'll give you, I think that Allen's better than Wilson. I think Wilson's great. I think Allen's better. And I think he's the MVP of the league. And they mean business. And I think the Niners season is over.
The Niners are completely finished. They're done. They're 5-7. They've been completely run over the last 2 weeks in Green Bay and Buffalo last night. Cooked. Done. Stick a fork in them. Bills now 10-2. One behind the Chiefs, trying to chase them down for that 1 seed in the AFC. And they look like a mission. What a night from Allen. As he threw touchdowns. He caught a lateral for a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown. The guy was doing it all. So we will discuss that today as well. We'll go through all the games from Sunday and the entire weekend. We'll try to dip in on Thursday, too. The significance on Thursday was, of course, the Bears finally got Eberflus fired, Scotty, over the weekend. So they finally got him out of town in Chicago. So we will go through that.
I think he's a horrible coach.
Well,
I really do. Like, I don't understand. Like, when you watch that game on Thanksgiving, how embarrassing was that? Like, honestly.
It was bad.
Anyone that does that in that situation, I think, would be dealt with equally. I mean, I think anyone that did that would be fired. I mean, you sit there and watch your team disintegrate at the end of that game. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm surprised they even let him on the bus back to the airport. Seriously, I thought they'd fire him right there at the Ford Field and tell him to get an Uber.
Pull the Gerard Gallant on him. Get your own way home from Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Just get out of here. Broncos and Browns tonight, Monday Night Football. We'll give you the numbers for all of that. We have a lot of college football to do from the weekend. Michigan, the huge upset over Ohio State. I'm sure Ryan Day slept real well on Saturday night. Miami blew a playoff shot as they went up. You said it for months. We said that's going to be a very tricky game for Miami to go up to the Dome and try to finish things off. And sure enough, they couldn't stop a nosebleed against Kyle McCord and the Orange. And they're chopped. I don't care what Cristobal says. I got a clip of him later saying, our resume stands for itself. They're not making the playoff. They're finished.
Yeah, I think, the one that surprised me, even though I've seen it before, was the Georgia Tech loss. And the one that I said for 2 months would happen and they'd finish with one loss would be the loss to Syracuse at the Dome in the final road game and game of the season. I always felt they'd lose the game. They were up 21-0. They blew it. I agree with you. Even though I'm a huge Kane fan, I do not believe they deserve to be in. There are better teams that are more deserving of a playoff berth. I think Miami will be playing in a big bowl game that doesn't matter.
it's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly,
you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, guys.
correct.
No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Was incredible in the jungle watching Russell Wilson just chew and spit them out. He did it all over the field. I mean, it was just, and how many passes did he throw over the middle, 5 yards to Najee? I mean, it was like all day it was open. That 5-yard first down, they just kept getting 5 yards. And then he'd throw, how many did he have over 20 yards? He was throwing bombs left and right. I mean, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I was watching. I almost fell over. I was like, I've never seen them look that good, frankly, since, and I'm going to say it, Terry Bradshaw, when they won 4 in 6 years. Bottom line is, they used to do that with, Stallworth and Swan and Benny Cunningham. I mean, this guy is just going everywhere, all over the field, throwing dimes. You got to admit.
Yeah, outstanding. 29 of 38. 414 yards for Russell Wilson, 3 tutties. He did throw 1 pick, and he spread the ball around to everyone. Pickens, Freiermuth, even Najee and Warren each had 50 yards receiving off of some screens.
That pick was a pass interference, a horrible missed call. The guy tore Pickens' head off and then had a pick six hizzy. It was a terrible miss. Everyone knew that was pass interference. He yanked his head and yanked him to the ground.
Yanked him to the ground. So that was the only blemish for Russell on the day. But he had plenty of these, and that's tutties, including to my man, who I love putting on the anytime touchdown board, and that is Freiermuth on CBS.
Weeks in Pittsburgh. 2nd down and 5. Wilson steps up. Wilson avoids it, throws on the move, and finds Freiermuth for the touchdown. Russell Wilson extends the play. And then hits Freiermuth with a strike for the score.
The Birdman. I think they have started to capitalize on this guy's talents. Freiermuth, I never thought they threw the ball to him enough, Mike. In the last few years, he's been there. And now all of a sudden, he's become a key to their offense. And they're giving him the ball, and he's scoring tutties, coming up big on third downs, making plays. They have to keep going to him. He's a big receiver. I love Washington as well. He's enormous, and he's 300 pounds, and he runs over people.
Yeah, and I think that just a part of that is Russell Wilson continuing to get to work with him, right? Like the more weeks, the more time goes by, the more comfortable he is with these guys. especially guys like Big Fryer, he's going to be okay. Of course, we always love Mike Tomlin's words of wisdom, not just heading into the weekend, but after a big Steeler win. Here is the coach.
It's always a challenge. The intimacy of these divisional relationships. We know them, they know us. But I just thought our group, smiled in the face of it, particularly Russ. It's the first time for him going through this AFC North football. And, man, I thought he acclimated himself to it well today. He put himself squarely in the history of these series and this series with that performance today, man, and we're thankful for it.
I mean, the bottom line is that if they're in a shootout, we know what he's capable of. If they're down in a game at the half, we know what he's capable of. This guy can strike in droves all over the field and in the end zone, and it makes him dangerous, the Steelers. Having a quarterback that can do what he can do, and that guy, Tomlin, knows it. He's like, this guy is the one that I wanted starting. Tomlin was the one that said, I'll go down with the ship if I'm wrong, but he's our starter. And look what's happened to this team since he took over. I mean, they score way more points than they did with Fields. They still use Fields in real bizarre fashions, one play here and there. It's Russell Wilson's team. That's just all there is to it.
It certainly is. I'll give you a little bit more on this later on. Steelers finished Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. 5 games left, 9 wins, AFC North, right there in front of him, Scotty Ford. And you said you'll be there on the 5th against the Bengals. They need to
win the division. We have Demario Davis of the Saints joining us now. Demario, it's good to see you. We're short on time. I want to get right into it. First of all, how in God's name God has blessed you with 6 children. Now, I have 2, and I almost went nuts. My co-host, Carver High, has 2. He's stressed out. You have 6 kids. How do you deal with 6 kids, big fella?
An amazing wife.
I'll bet.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're grateful for all of our kids. We have 5 girls, 1 boy. So I'm a girl dad through and through. Our oldest is 11. Our youngest is 8 months. And, man, it really takes a lot of teamwork and a lot of intentionality. But we have a system, and our kids are on a schedule from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. And it's kind of like herding sheep and running the college program all in one. And it works. It works, so we kind of stick to it.
I saw yesterday the cleats. And I saw the guys at CBS showing them before the game started. I saw guys wearing them. You were wearing them. I think it's phenomenal what you're doing and what the league's doing with this. And in particular, your cause is all about education and giving people a chance in life to get a better education. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we partnered with Stand Together this year. So we're grateful to the league always, really highlighting, players beyond what they do on the field and what they do in the community. We really have a great game and a lot of great players who are really using their platform to amplify work that's being done in a lot of spaces or create, change in a lot of spaces. And uniquely us, we partnered with Stand Together this year. And Stand Together is another one of those groups that's making major change in America and using its resources to do so. The reason we partnered with them is because they focus on tackling some of America's biggest challenges at the root level. And one of those areas is education, which my wife and I, we're very passionate about. Our foundation is really about working with young people and transforming their lives. And we partner with them on transformative education and moving from a one-size-fit-all model to something that's a little more unique and focuses on the strengths and gifts of each child.
I think it's incredible. Check it out at standtogether.org. One of the great tacklers in the NFL, a badass, Demario Davis. God bless and happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Hey,
Happy
appreciate
New Year, brother.
you, man. God bless.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them.
What?
Honestly.
Do you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they
do.
Won that football. Yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, Johnny. No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Carver High is going to be wearing his own cleats for the remainder of the season on the show. But because he's got hamstring issues, he'll be unable to lift them up to show them to you. But he is wearing them right now and for the remainder of the season so that the Bills can beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. He will not take them off of any show. He'll wear them every day.
That is true. I was thinking about doing that. And unfortunately, the hamstring injury did happen because of, you just had to get all the Christmas stuff out this weekend. As soon as, just right away, Thanksgiving, turkey wasn't even cold yet. Yeah. Get outside and start putting all the stuff out for Christmas. Get the tree down, get this down, get everything up, hide the elves, do this, do that. So that all happened this weekend, which is what causes sometimes that causes injuries, especially when you're trying to climb the roof and you're trying to get the outside all set up. But we're good to go now for the holiday season around here. Everybody is all set up and ready to go. And yes, very excited.
One other thing about that.
Sure.
The fleecing that I took at the farmer's market, $100 tree, $100 wreath. And then I see my boy, Stewie Leonard, over there with your boy who went down there. Who was our guy? Joey Cutlets.
DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy Cutlets.
So Stu Leonard's selling him for $40.
Yeah.
Each for $40. I'm over here getting fleeced for $100 for each. And then, I'm just in a bad mood right from the jump. $200 just to get out of the parking lot.
My days are over with that. I'm going to tell you. I used to be team real tree. I'll never have a fake tree. I'm never going to do any of that. Oh, no. My life has changed. I now have the tree, this balsam fir deal that I got somebody got, and it is just great setup, in and out every year, no mess. Like, my life has changed in the holiday season. I used to despise cleaning and the pine needles are around forever. And you know what? Christmas looks the same around here either way, whether it's the real tree or the fake tree. So I live like a whole new life here the last 2 or 3 years since we went to the fake tree.
I believe that.
And maybe one year I'll go get a real one just to give the kids a little gas. But I'm not. They're perfectly fine with this one. They don't know the life of the real tree. They don't remember it.
Real trees suck.
So I don't need it. Putting water in it, things falling everywhere. I do
white
not
bag at the end
need
out
it.
to the street.
I can't. I don't have any part of it anymore. So that's good enough there for me. All right, Bills beat the Niners last night, 35-10. The big snow game, the Snowmageddon. Everybody called for snow, and snow absolutely did come. Oh, okay. Well, Josh Allen did have himself a night, Scotty. He was the first player in NFL history, grab this, to throw a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and rush for a touchdown. Why? Because that play that I know you and everyone saw where he threw it to Cooper, Cooper pitched it back to him, and he ran it in and stretched for the pylon. That counted as a passing touchdown for him. So a monster night for Allen, 35-10. Bills go to 10-2, and they have clinched the AFC East before they clinched it on December 1st. Week 13, they already have won the division.
Yeah, and I think he's won the MVP on top of that. This is the best version I've seen of the Buffalo Bills. Frankly, in all these years that they've been failing against the Chiefs, I think this is their best rendition. And this reminds me, frankly, of the Kelly Bills that destroyed every team they played until they got to the Super Bowl. And then they had all their bad luck. But that was one of the greatest teams in NFL history. All they did was win. And they raked people. They destroyed teams week after week, every year, all year, and went to Super Bowls and lost in the Super Bowls. It was, inexplicable. But, it's like they're jinxed. But this is the best I've seen them look since that. When Marv Levy was rolling out those Bills, those were the best Bills teams ever. And frankly, better than every version of Allen until now. I think this team is actually legit.
Look, I think it's I'm with you there. I'm always a little skeptical because I need to see the January finish. I need to see it through. I need to see this guy, this coach and this quarterback finally get to a Super Bowl. I love that they've added all these other pieces around them and they've changed the team this year. And I hope you're right, for the better. And they're a better version than the team we've seen the last 5 years. I hope they finish. They got to finish the job for me, though. I got to hold off for that.
I got to see them beat Kansas City in a playoff game. That's all that matters.
Yes.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them.
What?
Honestly.
Do you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, Johnny. No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
I got to tell you, you got to run this play, and then I want to talk bad about San Francisco.
Right. Well, let's finish this, and then we can smash the Niners a little bit here. We do have the play now. We didn't have it before, but now we do. This is the Allen pass to Cooper, gives it back to Allen, goes in. Westwood won Sports last
great play.
First and goal from the 7. Here's the snap. Allen back, fires left side. Cooper makes a one-handed catch, pitches it back to Allen. Allen racing, dive to the left pylon, and he's in. Touchdown, Bills. What a play. Allen threw it behind Cooper. He made a one-handed catch as he was falling to the ground. He pitched it back to Allen, and Allen went diving in. That's one of the best touchdowns you'll ever see.
Thanks. You didn't need to tell us twice. But the guy laughing was fantastic. Like, he didn't say anything. He was just like, that was great. And then the guy had to tell the story again. He ruined it.
That was like me on my couch last night. I was just laughing when it happened. Couldn't believe it. Hopefully his MVP moment, as he is now minus 250, the favorite to win the Most Valuable Player award in the National Football League this year. We shall see. And get ready. Got a couple more. They're in L.A. this week against the Rams. Then they're in Detroit the following week, which will be a very big game. And a lot of hype behind that. Two of the best teams in football. And then they think they finish Patriots, Jets, Patriots to finish out the year. So good chance for the Bills to maybe get in the 14, who knows, 15-win area this season. And we'll see if that's good enough for the 1 seed in the AFC. All right, let's do it now. We can make fun of the Niners. Christian McCaffrey leaves the game with a PCL injury. His season could be over. You knew right away. I mean, when a guy gets the handoff and he just goes down, he just like, I'm done. And then he walked off, never came back. It wasn't going to be good for him. Shanahan said after the game, it's likely he's done for the year, but of course they didn't have that confirmation yet. Kyle also looking pretty ragged after getting smashed in the snow up in Orchard Park. What do you want me to do? We're just not very good.
We're not as good of a team as those past teams. So that's kind of how I look at it. We're not the same team at all. Every team each year is different. But I'm not going to say that this team is the same as last year's team. We're just not fighting as hard. We've got a bunch of different guys out there. We've been trying to find our way since the beginning. Haven't quite found that yet. There's still a lot of season left, and we expect to play better. But I'm not going to say that our team doesn't have fight.
Your season's over. They're in last place. They're 5-7. They stink. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, injuries, but I really didn't have much of a problem with it, to be honest with you. When it happened, I went, oh, he's done. Right when he went down, I went, oh, he's done. And then not only that, but I think his career is in jeopardy. This guy, Mike, is every year it's something. We've already seen him this year go to Germany for double Achilles problems. We've seen him have calf problems, hamstring problems, knee problems. Let me tell you what happens when you get older. It only gets worse. And I could go on and on. I already told you, Durant, he's automatic 2-month vacation every year with his calves. It only gets worse as you get older. So I question, and I don't have any hesitation saying I think he's a brilliant football player. I think the guy's incredible, super talented. He's fun to watch play. But I think his career is going to be short. I don't think he's going to last because he's always got problems with his body. And it's all lower body. And it's all legs and knees, calves, and hammies. That's all the NFL is built on. I mean, it really is. Catching it, running, it doesn't matter what position. If you have bad legs, you're done. It's over. You're not going to last in the National Football League. I think his career's in jeopardy. I don't know about you. Do you agree with me or not?
It seems like when you stack up all the stuff that's happened to him this year, that seems like a lot to come back from, to get back to being the player that he was, so dominant of a player that he was. I don't know if he's going to retire. I'm sure he's still going to try to play football, but I don't know if he'll be that same game-changing player that he was for that period of time. Those days might be over when you start to stack up all these lower body, leg injuries, knee injuries, ankle injuries, all these things start to pile up. Not a good scene for him. Niners 5-7, and really looking bad in the NFC right now, that's for sure. Cooked is what we can absolutely call it. The Chargers beat the Falcons 17-13. Not the best day for Kirk Cousins. Let's just put it that way. He threw 4 picks in this game, 2 of them to Tariq Still, including this one that put the Chargers up 7 for good in the third quarter on CBS.
Cousins. And intercepted. This could go all the way. It's gone. Still, you can kiss him goodbye. Touchdown. 62-yard return.
Kevin Harlan. Cousins look terrible. You throw 4 picks, you lose. That's all there is to it. And once again, we're looking at Jim Harbaugh winning. I know they lost to the Ravens. And, you know, I had an 11-1 spread week week in the NFL documented here on SportsGrid. And I had the Ravens in that game beating the Chargers, but they got right back up on the horse and started winning again. And that's what's impressive to me.
It is what's impressive. Let me finish the Chargers, then I just want to give you something on the Falcons. Here's Harbaugh. We love him here on Coast to Coast. He gave credit for this win to everybody. Remember, they didn't score an offensive touchdown in this game. They kicked a bunch of field goals, got the defensive touchdown in that 2-point conversion. Everyone gets credit. It seems like even like the guy selling soda in the stands gets credit from Jim. Here we go.
It says what I said it said. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's coming together. You know, guys playing complementary, winning football, an entire organization and fan base and players, coaching, personnel, staff. I mean, everybody back at those that didn't make the trip. You know, our field staff is the best. You know, it's incredible. Our equipment, our trainers, our doctors. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing as I think about it.
I'm a little disappointed he didn't mention the vendors. You had me there. I thought he was going to actually do it, and it would have really topped the cake.
It's really the only people with the team he didn't mention there. He got everyone involved. For the Falcons now, they are 6-6. They've lost 3 in a row. Once upon a time, they were 6-3, and it looked like they were going to run away and hide in the NFC South. And now that is not the case whatsoever. Also because the Bucs beat the Panthers 26-23 in overtime. So the Bucs are tied with them. Now the problem is the Bucs lost twice to the Falcons. So they can't be tied with them to win the division. They got to go ahead of them. But the Falcons stink right now, Scotty. I think the Bucs are going to win that division.
Yeah, and I think I like watching Baker Mayfield play football. I mean, he's exciting. He's a gamer. He comes up big. They had lost 5 of 6. And now look at them. Look at them now. They're right there tied with the Falcons, and they got a shot. I like his chances. I think he's, I don't deny Cousins can sling it, but he can also have a day like he had yesterday.
And one other thing from the Buck game. I think it's nice to see that Bryce Young has found himself a little bit. You take a look at the last couple weeks. He let him down yesterday, had a chance to win that game. The Chief game the week before, let him down to tie the game, and then Mahomes beat him. He won the 2 games before that. Maybe Bryce Young just needed to sit a little bit, Scotty. He looks real good.
Yeah, and I had the 6.5 yesterday. I bet on him again because he's been playing good football, and they've been giving that team way too many points. The 10.5 against Kansas City, and now the 6.5. You get to overtime, and you're going to cover by a hook no matter what. So they've been cashing the last 3 weeks.
They have been cashing machines, Bryce Young in Carolina so far. We'll come back. Eagles' destruction of the Ravens in Baltimore with another Barkley touchdown. We'll do all of that when we come back.
Are the Eagles better than the Lions?
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
You listen to yourself speak. That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're 100% correct.
No.
The
Stop.
only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, you were talking about Sirianni with me and wondering if the Eagles fans still want him fired because they're all so stupid. They've won 8 in a row. They're on a collision course, in my opinion, with the Lions for the NFC title game. They can beat anybody, and they can beat anybody anywhere. And they proved it yesterday going to Baltimore. And I actually believe they can go to Ford Field in a title game and beat the Lions. I really do. I think the Lions have had some close calls. They've had some blowouts. There's no doubt they blow teams out. But like the Thanksgiving game, what a mess that was, right? You play them, like Mafia said it to us, if you get in a little, drag them down to their level and play their game, I think they could give the Lions problems anywhere. In Philly, obviously, and in Detroit, I don't think they're afraid to go to Ford Field.
I think he's right on that point, and I think you want to play him kind of like remember how Houston played him a few weeks ago on Sunday night? They made Goff make a ton of mistakes, throw the ball to the other team. The problem was Houston just wasn't good enough to finish the job in that game. A team like the Eagles would be good enough to finish the job if they get Goff into making all those kinds of mistakes. Eagles 24-19 in Baltimore against the Ravens. Of course, this was billed as a showdown between the two best rushers in the NFL, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Only one of them, though, leaves with a 100-yard game and a touchdown, and that is, of course, Saquon Barkley putting the Eagles up 2 scores in the fourth on Eagles Radio, WIP in Philly.
Hurts this time to Barkley off the right side, breaks a tackle. He's at the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown! Saquon Barkley! He broke it, 25 yards.
Merrill Reese getting involved. Heavens to Betsy, that's how you call a game. I think they're really dangerous, and I think their fans are dangerous too with some of their opinions. Are they still calling Whip in the morning and saying fire Nick Sirianni when he wins every game they play? Who are they going to blame? Who are they going to blame? It's just that's all they do in that town is blame people. It's unbelievable. It never ends, and it never ceases to amaze me. In every single sport, that's all they do is blame. That's all they do.
I bet you there was still 1 or 2 that called up in the last 24 hours that thought they would lose because of Sirianni. We're 10-2, But I'm telling you, this guy's going to blow it for us in a big spot. I can feel it. Joe from South Philly in the car giving them all the rundown on how bad Sirianni's going to be 2 months from now. We shall see. Staying in the NFC East, Washington needed a win in the worst way, coming off losing 3 in a row. Nothing really gets you fixed up than having the Titans coming into your building, especially after they just got a big win. 42-19. Terry McLaurin getting involved with his second on CBS.
Zach Ertz, a guy that he loves down here in the red zone.
3rd and goal. Daniels on the slant. Caught. Touchdown. McLaurin. His second of the half.
Let's just go back to what you said about the guy in South Philly. So I've been doing it for 41 years. I've been doing, TV and radio. And one of the things that people may find strange, I guess, is that I've never listened to it, ever. Not once, ever. I don't listen to any sports talk or sports shows or radio shows or talk shows and I do it for a living. And I just never felt like it was something that I needed in my life. I already did it every day of my life. Why would I want to go listen to more of it? It's enough to drive you nuts doing it. Just doing it will drive you nuts. Listening to fans complain about their team or whatever. You got to have thick skin. And I listen to music. I've never listened to sports talk. I've been on some of the greatest sports stations in the history of the medium. Every one of them, in fact. I've been on every great station that ever was, and I never listened to any of them, ever. Not once, ever. I'm not even kidding you. I was on the Fan in New York. I never listened to it once, ever. You'd have to kidnap me and put me in a cage to make me listen to it, because I just don't listen to it. And you never saw me listen when I was there with you at night. I was there with you for years and years, and what did I do in breaks? We messed around. I never listened to the radio. I'm just telling you, you'll go nuts if you listen to that sports talk. Here's an idea for you. And now people may not want to hear this at the network level, but I just think it's real healthy to not listen. Or, you know what I mean? Just don't listen to it. It'll make you sick to your stomach. So why not just listen to stuff that makes you happy? Music makes everyone happy, right? So I listen to music. And I know it's a diatribe, but never once in 41 years have I listened to sports talk, ever. And I do it for a living. I don't care.
I think there's a difference when it's your job and then when it's everybody else. I think that makes a difference sometimes for
Why?
It. I think because we're doing it every day, and I think you like to get away from it when you're not doing it. I think that's also part of it too. I think that you need to step away when you're not behind the mic for that 3 hours that you are, and you don't want to go back to it and hear it. I think that has a little bit of something to do with it. But there are some maniacs that would make you not want to listen to that sound.
That's the thing. I don't want to listen to them. I can't take it.
That's how that would do it.
If you do it for 4 hours and then you go listen to it, there's got to be something wrong with you. Because 4 hours is enough to make you go see a shrink. And then you got to,
Yes.
go listen all day when you're not on the air to everyone else doing it? Oh, my God. What could be worse?
That's where I think it kind of falls into that square category. All right, so good win for Washington as they now get themselves to 8-5, and they're in one of those last spots in the NFC. Now we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about this Viking-Cardinal game from yesterday. And we're talking Lions 11-1, Eagles 10-2, collision course, NFC title game. The Vikings are 10-2. Do they belong with those teams? Or do they not? So
they're like the Cowboys. They're going to go to the playoffs, and they're going to lose their first game.
I agree with you. We'll talk about the Vikings' comeback win yesterday over Arizona.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
Do you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
So many
if
teams
they would have
do.
won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, guys.
correct.
No.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, Mike, I think the Vikings are posers. I am not scared of them. In fact, if I were in the NFC playoff picture right now, I would be more than happy to see an arrangement where I was playing them first. Seriously, like, I don't think they can beat the Eagles or the Lions. And I think any number of teams that make it can beat them. I mean, look at Arizona yesterday. They were getting, 3 and a hook? They covered. I bet on Arizona. They could have won the game, should have won the game. They had the game, and they lost by 1, right? That team is so beatable, it's not even funny. And that 10-2 record of theirs, that's phony ass. That's like dry rub. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Is that a seasoning? It's dry rub. Their record 10-2 is dry rub. You know what dry rub is? I need another beer. These wings are real dry. Get me a beer. Cold Budweiser.
Well, they were down 19-6 in this game in the second half after the Harrison touchdown. They come back with a Darnold to Johnny Munt, a field goal from Parker Romo, and then what I thought was the real turning point of the game. It was 19-16. The Cardinals had the ball inside the 5 on a 4th and goal, and they kicked a field goal to go up 6. I would have went for it and tried to go up 2 scores, but they didn't do that, and it ended up burning them because the Vikings went right down the field, and Sam Darnold found Aaron Jones, who had had a rough day up to that point, dropped the touchdown, had another fumble, but he came through here, 23-22 final, Jones on Fox.
Remember, it's Aaron Jones, though, who's had the fumbling problems. Darnold will look to throw for it. Pressure from behind. Hits Jones out of the backfield. Redemption for Aaron Jones. Minnesota has come all the way back to tie the game.
Listen, here's the deal. I think you're right, Mike, and it really cost them because I think they're not going to make the playoffs. There are too many teams that are in second place or third place that have outstanding records way better than 6-6. So anyone sitting at 6-6 is not going as a wild card over the Packers, the Vikings, the Washington Commanders. They're in a position of power right now. Look at their record. 3 of those teams from the North are going. That means no team that's 6-6 is going. You either win your division or you're not going.
I don't think the West and the South can get a second team. You know, I think that those two divisions, whoever wins between Atlanta and Tampa, that's going to be it. Whoever wins between Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, I think that's going to be it. I don't think that there's a wild card coming out of any of the, unless Washington collapses over their last few weeks and brings everyone back to the party, which I don't think they'll do. They got a bye this week, and then they finish up. They play the Cowboys again. Well, they did lose 2 once, but they play the Saints, they play the Eagles, and they play the Falcons.
So let me ask you, go back to the Vikings. If Philly plays them, Philly beats them. If Washington plays them, I think Washington beats them. If Green Bay plays them, I think Green Bay beats them. And then I think they can beat. I think they can actually beat the Falcons, and I think Seattle would give them a game.
Well, that's where you got to remember, because their record is so good, they're probably going to be the first wild card team because Detroit's going to win the division, which means they're going to go to either the South or the West winner, which means they're going to go to either Tampa or Atlanta or Seattle or Arizona. You know, they're going to go to one of those places. Now, they have the Kirk Cousins Bowl this week, right? Atlanta plays Minnesota this Sunday, and Cousins coming off 4 picks, playing his old team. We'll see if that maybe jumpstarts him a little bit. The game's in Minnesota, too, coming up. So we'll see if they can get that done against them. But I'm with you. I'm not buying at all the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Packers are better than the Vikings as well. Right behind him in that division. All right, so you got Jerry next at the top. You'll get into some of the college, which me and you will do later as well. And then after that, we'll finish the rest of the NFL, including the Jets yakking up another one against Seattle yesterday at MetLife. The Texans hanging on against the Jags, that vicious hit on Trevor Lawrence. The Rams with a win, staying alive. And then we have tonight's game, of course, the Broncos and the Browns in Denver. I know you're very excited for that.
People saying that the Jets should go get Sam Darnold and bring him back to New York. I don't agree with that for 1 minute.
Come on. You can't do that.
Well, that's what they're talking about.
Can't go back.
Aaron Rodgers is finished.
He's finished all right.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
Do you listen to yourself speak? That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
As so many
if
teams
they would
do.
have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing, guys. No. Stop.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.